Marvel Rivals, Squirrel Girl, and a somewhat old video now. So this was taken from my second session of the game. The first session I played nobody but Punisher, because I wanted to be a Punisher main. Second session I'd learnt a lot more about the game, and realised that that's just not how you play these games really, unless you're incredibly specialised. So I started experimenting, and this was the first time I played Squirrel Girl. This was meant to be one of the first uploads I put up on the channel for the diversity of characters, and I did the commentary, but I wasn't recording it correctly. So it's been a while since I've done that, and I've done it a few times with these videos, so that's frustrating. So I left it for a little while, and now I've come back to it, and the commentary is going to be vastly different to what it was. But this is a... Is it a convoy? This one, a convergence? I think it's convoy, isn't it? On Yggdrasil. And I really, really like this map. This has gone on to be one of my favourite maps and one of my favourite modes too. I just think the pulling and the pushing on this particular sequence, in all of the segments, is some of the most fun you can have in Marvel Rivals. And this particular game is pretty contested, but it's also kind of girthy too, so it enables you to play for quite some time. And when you go into your statistics and you look at how much time you've got on a character, it says something like 11 minutes on Squirrel Girl, and it's because of this game. And I didn't really know how to use her all that great, but I think she's quite simplistic on a surface level. And a couple of things to bear in mind if you've played her yourself, or if you've not played her and you're watching this. Her kit is somewhat one-dimensional, but it comes in handy. So she has the ability to refresh her abilities. She has two abilities as they stand. An ability to jump, which can be used to get out of pressure. It can be used for mobility's purpose alone to get you to some interesting vantage points. And then she has this, what I just did there, where she throws this acorn, and truth be told, I'd fought against a bunch of Squirrel Girls, and I thought that acorn bounced around and did damage to people. So I was putting it down the pipe every time it was off cooldown to try to just be a nuisance, because I noticed that her gun is projectile, I noticed that it bounced off walls, and I noticed that it seemed to do a lot of damage even though you weren't hitting headshots. And it turns out her gun doesn't have a headshot modifier, that's why it does such good damage, and if you can get them bunched up, she's kind of a lot like, what's he called, Moon Knight. She has capacity to do tons of damage to tons of people, and she can do it from relative safety just by ricochets and by playing smarter and using vantage points, and as you can see, I'm not using any of those things in this gameplay. This is very one-dimensional, very entry-level, very new. But it's working because our opponents are of the same ilk, because this was week 1 of the game, and we've just got an interesting little piece of just frontline here holding them back. And you can see that they're rocking a Hulk and a Penny. You see they've got a Storm, they've got a Namor, and I am going to struggle with Storm in this game because of the parabolic arc on Squirrel Girl's shots. And what happens to me when I'm not confident with the character is I'll go for the shot. When I miss a few times, I'll be like, well, that's someone else's job. And we do have an Iron Man who's going in there who has pretty much a hit scan right bumper maneuver or right mouse where he just laser beams people. And they have a Hulk, which means he has the powered up version of it, which is one of the strongest combinations in the game. But I don't think we'll be seeing too much of this as I'm fighting Hulk here. But what makes Squirrel Girl really interesting, as I hit Namor there with the stun, and I don't know if I noticed, as Loki drops his immortality, essentially, on that healing stones. But she's unique because you can use her abilities, immediately refresh them, and then use them again. And what this leads to is it leads to the ability for Squirrel Girl to do 2 giant jumps in a row. So you can get on top of things that people will not expect you to be able to get on top of if you're willing to burn the cooldown. And the cooldown's not even that long. And then additionally, if you stun somebody with her right mouse, you can immediately get it off cooldown, start hitting them, and then re-stun them when they recover. So you can put people into these interesting stun traps, which makes her a lot more respectable than you might think. It's just no one's really doing it. And I've not been stunned that many times by a Squirrel Girl. And then the last thing she has is her ultimate, which seems to be really strange and really random. But the idea is it sends out this like sentient pack of squirrels that go and kick the shit out of things. But they do so in lines. They move, you know, like a bishop in chess or a castle. They're just cutting these angles. And Everybody online said the best way to use it was to use it in a claustrophobic environment and let it bounce around, and that's where you can capitalise on the damage. But I have a gameplay from way after this, when I'd played a lot more, where I'm playing as the Punisher, and it runs past me, so I just sidestep it thinking that there's not much to it, and it's almost like it does everything it can on a pool table to find me. So there is some kind of like governing intelligence with the ultimate that allows it to be a nuisance. And it will be a nuisance. Sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's really not. And I don't really know the best, like look at it here, it's just going fucking crazy. I don't know the best time to use it, so I'm not going to tell you after one game with Squirrel Girl that I understand the best use of such a tool, but there will be situations where it makes a lot of sense. And the cool thing about this game is a lot of things aren't immediately apparent on the surface, and then later on you realise just how good they can be. And they really do open up. But in this moment, it's just me and one friend. Some of the gameplays you'll see, there might be 3 of us, there might be 4 of us. Hell, we've even ran with 5 people. Although when you run with 5 people, you win a lot more, and you end up going against some absolute lions, and then it turns into some of the sweatiest quick play lobbies you've ever seen, so word of warning on that one. But you can see me here trying to contest the storm and not doing a great job as Nomura drops his ult on us. Which the centre of that ult does a nuclear amount of damage. I think it's 500 damage if it hits, and it knocks down, which makes it really good for utility. Everyone's talking about Hela because she's disgusting, but Nomura has some insane headshot damage, and his hitboxes on his projectile are very generous. There's the Storm ult, just getting rid of the whole team. This is where it would be really nice if we had like an Adam Warlock, and I am noticing that my team aren't with me. I'm a little overextended, but I managed to back up here, and we do have a Cloak and Dagger to my left, so that's okay. We also have a Loki as well, which is nice to have these kind of heals. I think that's what made this so easy for me to just jump around like a madman and shoot people. Because we did have good healers, and healers can change a game. You know, I would rather have 3 healers and 3 DPS, because it seems like the healers, even when they're bad, they seem to do more than the DPS when they're bad. And that's a topic that I want to talk about, actually. I don't know how much time I've got, so this might be continued upon in the Scarlet Witch video, because it's another video from my second session that I didn't upload. But it's this notion of people think that quick play means you don't want to win and you don't try to win. And don't get me wrong, if you play quick play just to jump on and practice some stuff and do things that you can't do in ranked, that's okay. But don't be surprised when someone competitive who's playing quick play because they want to win as well gives you a hard time, you know? It just seems to be what the game is, dude. I jump into these lobbies and people shit talk me. And then at the end of the game, when I outdamage the entire team combined, they shut their fucking mouths, you know? But it's just the game. There are a lot of people on this, and I don't know if it's been inherited from Overwatch, but everybody tells me Overwatch was incredibly aggressive. People call it toxic. It's everyone's favourite word, right? And I don't look at being very competitive and wanting to win as toxicity. However, if you're giving everyone shit all the time and being an arsehole in the chat or in voice chat or whatever, then maybe it is quite toxic. But here's the thing. If you don't care for that stuff, turn it off, you know? Everyone's going to complain about something, everyone's going to think you're not doing your job, everyone's going to blame everybody but themselves. That's the whole game. And you're not going to be able to get away from this. This is a team game, and the team comes first. And it doesn't matter how good you are, if you don't have the kind of support you need to make an impact, you can't work. And the difference between playing a character on a team that enables them and playing a character on a team that hinders them is night and day. And you can even feel this if you play against the bots. And I'm not talking about those lobbies you get when you lose in quick play where they give you the pity points. I'm talking about the actual bots. And for all I know, there could be some in here because they sneak them in every so often, don't they? So whenever you're having a bit too much fun, it's probably because you're up against AI, which you can go into the theatre mode in this game and figure out what's going on with it. But quick play is a competitive mode, guys. Just because it's not literally called competitive does not mean that people aren't trying to win. When you play multiplayer against another human, it is a competitive environment regardless of how you feel about it. That's just the way of the world. Some people are very competitive, some people are not. There's grey scale all the way through there of varying degrees and varying shades. You know this, I don't have to tell you this. It's existed for a long time, it will exist long after we're all gone. But this notion that people get to play like shit and just expect everybody to clap and cheer them makes me laugh. Because I just don't understand why you wouldn't want to help the team, you know? Even if you're new, even if you're bad, trying to find what they talk about, which is this notion of value, right? What do you add to the game that you are in? In this game you're watching right now, I am a new player. I do not know the genre, I do not know the game, I don't really know this character, it's the first time I've played her. But my value on her is to be a pest. It is to put as much damage down the line as I can and stay alive. That is my only goal, right? I am trying to hurt people, trying to finish them off, trying to just create as many situations where my opponent cannot play their game. And you can be the judge of whether or not you think I did that, you know? However, if I do it badly and I perceive that I do it badly, some people are going to take issue in this because it is a team game, especially when you lose. So just because it says quick play doesn't mean that you lay down for the enemy team. It doesn't mean that you don't try to win. It doesn't mean that you don't apply yourself. It just means that if you're not doing so well, people are going to tell you. Because this game is incredibly competitive, considering on the surface you might think it's a kid's game. There's a lot of people taking it very seriously, but the great thing is you don't have to if you don't want to. You can turn off the voice chat, you can turn off the text chat in the game, and you can avoid it all. And if you go on Reddit crying about not getting upvoted, I can't help you.